Welcome back, everybody, and today we're going to be taking a look at ARIA, who of course has recently just been released. With that, however, today we're going to go over her introduction in terms of how I think some people will play her skills, some of her builds, her teams, PvP, PvE, my current build, and her pros and cons. But without further ado, let's get into it. So initially, as we've seen through a couple of the introduction and trailers, I guess, for ARIA, she is honestly posed to be somewhat of an anchor or somewhat of a fight against everyone while not being debuffed. Now, unlike Hua, however, she does still technically can still receive buffs, which makes her quite different and quite impactful. However, in terms of where her damage is, let's move straight to her skills to really understand what she's all about. Now, in terms of her skills, her S3 is a pretty strong ability. It is, of course, damage dealing. And with this, since it says that a successful hit always results in a critical hit, you don't need any crit rate whatsoever. Now, it is important to note here that a lot of the damage that you've seen with ARIA is after her S3 has been stacked and using her soul burn effect, which, again, if you're using her as a solo anchor, can make sense. But you shouldn't expect insane damage on ARIA if you haven't already stacked this S3. In terms of this ability, however, otherwise this is just a team-wide barrier and a pretty decent damage dealing ability as a whole. Now next we have her S2, which is what a lot of people consider to be pretty crazy. Now first, it doubles the cost of any soul burn that the enemy team has. In addition to this, however, she gains effect resistance based on her max HP. Excuse me. This also means that, of course, you can stack HP on her and she gains an additional stat, which is pretty impactful since the rest of her abilities also focus on crit rate or provide you with crit rate. Now, in addition to this, she does also have the Maid Chloe passive where she gives 40% ER to all allies, though, of course, if I'm not mistaken, I think Maid Chloe is similar or maybe a little bit lower than this. Now, in terms of her S1, this is I guess a pretty impactful ability as well, as this is somewhat of a more impactful S1 for a counter set, or if you plan on running her in counter set. The reason for this is because when your S3 is on cooldown, anytime that you activate a counter attack with this character, it also provides her with disciplinary, or it uses disciplinary action instead of her normal S1. And with this, of course, this is an ability that injures and also guaranteed crits. It is worth mentioning, however, that this ability is no slouch in terms of DPS as well. But of course, injuring and getting this off does also mean that you have to take turn with ARIA. So whether you choose to, I guess, use something like Durandal or another combat readiness pushing ability is up to you, but I do think that speed will be kind of important, again, if you're trying to make use of disciplinary warning. Now, in terms of my expectation for builds, I think that there will definitely be players that use her on destruction, triple HP, anything like this. I will say that for my current stat line, I do have a bit more attack, HP, and crit damage, but I have found that, at least from my initial testing with this character, it feels as though that if you aren't using her in a permanent slow or anti-cleave sort of setting, she feels a little bit more uncomfortable or unusual to play. So for the build that I have right now, it feels as though this is better for when the enemy team ends up taking the characters like Lidica and a bunch of other high speed and effectiveness based characters. That said, Lidica and some of the other popular openers in the game right now still, of course, have soul burns or ignore soul burn ER or ignore ER soul burns, which is pretty impactful. But of course, it does come at the cost of 40 souls if they choose to do that. Now, in terms of other builds, I can imagine people running triple HP set. Basically, I guess, neglecting the entirety of the crit damage here. And I can also probably see people running something like protection set and just running as much HP as possible. In terms of her artifact, I do think that if you want to use something like Thorn and the Blue Rose, just because you have more souls, if you want to use Sweet Miracle so that you can get off your S3, Durandal, Proof of Valor, all these artifacts are pretty good. I do want to make a special mention though to Prayer Solitude, as again, she does have extra attacks. However, it is a little bit early to say exactly what she'll use. Maybe she will end up using something like Golden Rose or one of the Lifesteal artifacts. But at this time, I'm just running Proof of Valor. Now, in terms of PvP, this is definitely going to be a character that people are using on Arena defense or Guild War defense, as again, what you would expect or imagine from Arena is, of course, people playing about as cringe as possible. And of course, since they don't want people to soul burn or to deal with a bunch of, I guess, more annoying sort of team compositions that allow them to cleave, you can expect some people to use ARIA. Effectively though, I don't see that much difference between this art or this character individually as opposed to someone like Bellion in terms of trying to stop people from cleaving. That said, it is also equally possible to run them both, and then people that end up using someone like I don't know, I guess like for people that end up wanting to play more fast, you can, I guess, doubly affect how annoying it is to play against your team composition. That said, even the character by herself might be people into trying to I guess debuff or deal with a lot of the slower team compositions. I can imagine a team like this, for instance, instead of having Renak, actually have ARIA. Excuse me again, I'm a little sick. But in terms of this, I think this is totally fine. ARIA and a team that has Arunga and characters like Harsetti definitely make it way more annoying to cleave. And with this, I think that ARIA definitely has a place, at least in Arena defense. For Guild War, I think it's a little different. However, I do want to say that again, given that the build on ARIA can be a bit more RNG or unusual, I think she does fit pretty well into the Guild War sort of atmosphere where, who knows, maybe you're fighting against one that has no crit damage, maybe you have one that's all crit damage. I think at least day one, people will be using ARIA in Guild War defense. And for RTA, truth be told, again, I think that if someone starts stacking a bunch of openers like Renak and not Faithless, but normal Fire Litica, I think that Disciplinary ARIA will do pretty well there. Now, obviously, that brings us to PvE use cases. Honestly, it's a little early to say about that. She, again, does have pretty good ER spread. And with that, maybe you'll be able to use her in something like Abyss. However, with the announcement of the removal for Nightmare Raid, I don't really know if she has a place anywhere else. Maybe she has a place in something like Katie's, but at least for right now, there is no, I guess, confirmed location where it feels like she'll be relevant or the content is being removed. Maybe she'll be good for Light Expo though. Now, in terms of my build, again, you're seeing basically a hybrid of HP and crit damage. I have mine on counter, and of course I do also have a decent amount of crit damage here, but obviously if I could, I would prefer to have more HP here. From what I've seen so far, again, it's not that I think she's weak by any means, but at least for my playstyle, it feels a little bit weirder to play her just because, again, she isn't one-shotting on turn one, and she's definitely not one-shotting some of the tanks that I'll be using her into. However, because of that, she doesn't really provide much for people that are trying to play fast. Again, that isn't to say that she is bad. However, there are obviously playstyles that characters like this can't really be picked into, or you may have to play around. In this case, I may end up using her on something like Durandal, but to kind of give you an idea of what she looks like, at least in Arena, let's start by finding a team composition that's pretty annoying in terms of debuffing. Now, truth be told, if you fight against Arena and your goal is to out effect resist or to, you know, basically, excuse me, if your goal is to not get debuffed by the enemy team, I have bad news for you. Most people that play Arena kind of enter the Arena assuming that they'll have like 300 effectiveness or that they're going to outgear you. Now, because of that, that's not to say that you can't try and, you know, screw them back, but even take a team like this that I have right now. This team is pretty designed, honestly, to kind of, I guess, like boost one single DPS and in this case, obviously, I don't think I'm going to take this into the team on right side, as again, there's a Mort here and I can't counter. But if you find a team in general that tries to debuff you, it is fine, I'd say, to try and use a solo DPS, especially if there's not too much damage going out. In this case, for the team that I have here, of course, I have Abigail to make sure that my ML ARIA survives. I also have Christy so that she has more ER, but honestly, this might be a bit more wasted, as honestly, in terms of how much effectiveness this has, I definitely don't need 150 effectiveness for my Christy plus the 150 effectiveness for myself to not get debuffed. That said, we could try one round where we see how much damage I take, and we can go from there. However, I am going to just take a look at... Oh, actually. Oops, forgot about this. My bad. Okay, all right. In terms of what we're looking for here, though, we're just trying to survive. We, of course, kind of have like a solo team composition going on. Again, part of the reason why I think some people may not want to use Proof of Valor, but instead use something like Thorn and the Blue Rose, is because, again, if you are trying to start cycling and do DPS, you will need souls in in some way, shape, or form. With this, though, the only way for me to really get that is if I have this artifact at the start of battle. And again, if I use my soul burn, it increases the amount of damage dealt, but we'll just try this for the first round and see how it goes. Okay, so he's obviously going to try and debuff me. Doesn't land, which is fine. Soul burn just so that we do more damage. Also puts us on a lower cooldown. Pretty decent damage, 6,000. Obviously, it's also Boss Arunka who has like infinity defense. Okay. Give ourselves a buff. I think there's a good chance that Rwana and friends are probably going to die here. Would be nice to defense break Arunka here. Okay. Christy gives us the buff, and at this point, it is probably reasonable to expect that this will have to come down to like an ARIA solo, as of course, again, that was kind of the goal from the beginning. Okay, no one's dead. Let's proc S1 here. We do have injury again, so this will start to hurt eventually. Oh, no counter, unfortunate. Again, obviously the team that you're looking at here is more focused or based around just trying not to die. Maybe it would be a little bit better if I had a team that could focus more on ML ARIA. But as you're seeing right now, one of the weaknesses, I think, again, with a character like ML ARIA is that also they're not forced to hit her, like, by any means. Now, obviously, I am using, I should say, a team composition directly based around ARIA being more DPS heavy, or being the primary focus DPS-wise. We are about to kill ARIA, which is cool. Or, sorry, the Arunka, which is cool. But in this case, the counter set is a bit more wasted. We do have Arunka constantly hitting into ARIA, which is nice. Hopefully we get a counter. Nope, of course not. That's okay. This does also, not to say that I think it would be very balanced, but I do think that this does kind of feel like a character that you'd expect to have built-in Elbrus of some sort, but that's definitely not the case. Okay. Oh, we really are not doing much damage at all, huh? Ooh. Okay, my only concern here is that the BBK is on track to probably use another S3. Oh. Well, Bye, Abigail. All right. All right. This is a pretty high-powered S3 at this point. I don't think we can be greedy to hold off. Okay. Okay, we have attack buff. She's got no buffs, so this shouldn't hurt too much. I think we should proc her, however. Okay. We're still not taking any damage here. Obviously, the Harsetti is a bit higher HP in this case, so a little bit harder, of course, to debuff the ARIA. This does look pretty good, though, in terms of DPS. Like, even though we, of course, didn't have a perfect start here. Oh. Oh, that's pretty nice. Okay, so I mean, like, again, you can see kind of like where the damage is coming from here. It does take a little bit to slow burn, but if you do have like a slower composition to kind of set things up, it does look like she's quite strong. I would say again, however, that if you are trying to use her as like a faster player, maybe there's a justification for building her a bit faster so that you can again get more S3s off to begin with. I could definitely imagine either having something like a Soulburn build, or rather I should say taking books with her and taking something like Durandal as her primary artifact. Otherwise, though, speed set may be on the cards here, especially since she doesn't technically have like a great way of CR pushing quite enough. And again, for those of you saying that like, oh well, like, you know, there's a chance, or there's like a chance that you get the combat readiness push from her S1. As you're seeing, it's pretty unreliable in general, for at least for AI targeting to even, you know, obviously hit her, unless if you're of course fighting against a light unit. But as you're seeing, my real value honestly here is if I use someone that already has like a dual attack based in or baked into their kit. Otherwise though, like, it is pretty unreliable in terms of I guess using her as a solo DPS. Now I also want to remind you that this has probably been like roughly a if you just take a look at the turn count, like we're already at 700 of the lightning effect, and it's only after roughly 700 that we can start to do like real meaningful damage, maybe like more like 500. But it should be a testament to how long you really have to build up this Aria's value before she starts to really take off. And if you aren't someone that really necessarily wants to play like that, I totally understand. As again, you're seeing right now, she's not only a character that you can't really auto with, as you need to soul burn. It takes quite a while to get to the point where she's pretty crazy. We'll do one RTA match just to see what's cooking. But as you're, I mean, as I'm sure you can probably tell at this point, she of course is going to do very well for anyone that wants to play slower. People that take Bellion or any slow characters in general, I think will probably succeed with her. I am going to try and use her again, given that this is more my playstyle or more my speed. I'm going to try and make her a bit or play her more like an anchor, as again she does give a barrier, and technically if I end up using her as like an ML Hua anchor, it could feel a little bit better. If this isn't the case and I have to fight against ML ARIA, oh, cool. I'm actually totally down for that. Right, so for me, I do think that there is pretty good value in pairing ML ARIA also with a bunch of like cleave anchors as a whole. In this case, my goal, of course, is to get either Renak or New Moon Luna or Lidica here, so that oh, actually, looks like we're going down the cleave route. So in this case, of course, you can kind of see here, I'm just using the ML ARIA to kind of anchor my team. There's a lot of debuffs here. That's okay. This is honestly, all this looks all right to me. Kind of need another I kind of need another race character here. Uh-oh. All right, well, let's try this. Okay, so obviously he's gonna ban either Arya or Celine here. But my goal here is going to be, of course, trying to one-shot the Emil Arunca. And if I don't, well, it's going to feel quite bad. Okay. All right, actually, we have Arya here, so we're still quite okay. All right, let's use S2. Ooh, that is Bastion of Hope on someone. That is tragic. Oh, I did not crit, actually. Oh, this is looking terrible, boys. Who could have predicted the Bastion of Hope on the Bellion? Unfortunate. Okay, I mean, so long as we don't get one shot with the so long as we don't get one shot here, maybe there's a chance that the burns and the damage from Shuri's S3 here might carry us enough. I mean, Flan should get burned. I was gonna say there's might be kind of difficult still to deal with the team here. Please counter, please counter, please counter. Oh, no. Yeah, this is kind of what I expected, to be honest, though. I did kind of need, or I did have to kind of assure that I would be able to take turn 1, which is why I kind of needed that second S, or that second speed imprint. But as you're seeing right now, this is a very, very, very scary position that we're in now. Obviously, because, like, you know, I don't quite have the damage to start killing at this point. He does also have Flan, who of course I can't counter. It could come down, it could come down to a solo, but yeah, this is not looking amazing. Bastion of Hope Bellion kind of cooked me up, I gotta say. Oh, ow. Okay, so he uses S1. Oh, I guess just after this turn, I'm gonna get hit and die, huh? Yeah, I think I am just dead. Wait, what? Really? He used... I guess he already has his S3. Yeah, I'm dead. Oh, shoot. I mean, you guys can kind of tell, though, with, like, how Arya is played. Of course, like, if you're able to take someone like Arunca and Arya together, maybe it feels a little bit better. And again, I do think that she'll probably succeed if you try to take her into faster units. Again, i.e. if you try to use Emil Arya into like the Renax of the world. Assuming, of course, you do end up taking more slow units, but as you saw there, I just kind of figured that if you'd have to fight against Arya, one of the things that you'd probably struggle with is, of course, fighting, you know, like the soul burn consumption and such. However, from what you're seeing right now, I don't think she's bad by any means. It's just a different sort of playstyle. In any case, pros and cons wise, obviously she looks amazing. I do think that the effect resistance across the team is pretty impactful. Her damage is definitely not a slouch, especially if you plan on boosting or kind of like pivoting all your power into her specifically. In terms of cons, obviously, if you're trying to play her as a cleaver, we might want to wait a little bit to see what people cook up. You know, some of the top end ladder players will probably still use something like, you know, I don't know, maybe Proof of Valor or something on her in order to, or rather protection set to kind of boost the team, not only in terms of the first barrier that you give, but the consequent barrier after. And again, having a lot of ER is, you know, not necessarily something to scoff at. But of course, in terms of my build, I do think that counter feels a little bit more unreliable, though I'm sure if you're playing in a slower match where there's more attacks and more RNG that can kind of be found out through and about, I do think she'll be pretty cool or pretty successful. But that's going to be it for today's video. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed. This has been my first impressions. Of course, things can change, and I'll see you all in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy. Good night.